All right, everyone, this is for predominantly AP classes. This is actually something I've gone over with my AP Economics classes before. And this is really just covering the most basics when it comes to economics. This is just meant to lay the groundwork for pretty much everything else that is built off of. And predominantly, it is dealing with the idea of scarcity. So, what is scarcity? Scarcity is really just the fundamental truth of existence that we have unlimited wants, needs, desires, and so many things we want. But we only have a finite amount of resources. The basic fundamental truth, you cannot have everything. So because of this, you have to make choices. Now, with scarcity, there are two kind of basic textbooky definitions. And the first definition of scarcity is there's not enough of a resource. The second definition is it is a resource that is used for many different things. Simple example, the idea of money. First definition of scarcity, we never have enough money. We always want more. Definition number two, we use money for a lot of things, whether it be to pay bills, to buy things we want, to go to the movies, to pay for your pets, to buy a new kidney, to buy a sandwich, to pay for the oil change in our car. So many things that our money goes to. So those are kind of the two definitions of that in action. Trying to keep the example a little simple. And roughly, the definition of economics is it is a social science that is concerned with the efficient use of our limited resources to achieve the maximum amount of our wants and needs that we can meet despite them being unlimited. So, because we have this idea of scarcity, because we have unlimited wants and needs, and we have so few resources in comparison, we now have to make individual choices. So what we have to do is, because our resources are scarce, we have to make a choice on where to spend our resources. So you have a paycheck, you're hungry, you have a craving for Mexican food. Where do you go? Do you go to Taco Bell? Do you go to Chipotle? Where you go depends on your individual choice. Which one do you like more? Which one is cheaper? Which one is better quality? Which one is closer to your home? Which one actually has employees that are actually good at their job? These are all things that impact our individual choices. So in essence, there is no necessarily right choice. There is what is the right choice for you. So again, it just depends on your set of circumstances, and those circumstances will impact your individual choice. So, because so much hinges on our individual choice, we now have to measure our opportunity cost. Now, whenever we do something, it is costing us something. Now, it can be money, but often it's really the opportunity of what you're giving up to get the thing you want. So for example, let's just go back to the basic Chipotle versus Taco Bell example from the last slide. Let's just say, hypothetically, you could buy one Chipotle burrito for $10. Not so much anymore with inflation, but that's beside the point. You could buy one Chipotle burrito for $10. Or you could buy 10 Taco Bell burritos for $1 a piece. Either which way is costing you $10. So if I go to Chipotle and buy a Chipotle burrito, that is the opportunity cost that I'm spending. It is not the $10. It is actually the 10 Taco Bell burritos I could have had instead. Right now, you are watching this. What could you be doing instead? You could be doing a lot of things. You could be sleeping. You could be working. You could be mowing the lawn. You could be playing video games. You could be doing meth under a bridge. Don't do that. But there's so many things, infinite number of things that you could be doing, and that is actually the cost, for good or for bad. That is actually the cost of what you're actively doing at that moment. So this is actually where you end up with the idea of Tinstoffel. There's no such thing as a free lunch, because in the end, Well, one, you can make this into a kind of a meta thing where it is on one side, you let people say that, well, if you get something for free, someone had to pay for it. That is true. Also, if you're just sitting on the couch having a Netflix binge and you're just watching like season 2 of The Witcher, why would you do that? But if you're watching that, you're binging on Netflix, what are all the other things that you could be doing? Because that is costing you. Now, there's nothing inherently wrong with sitting down and having a binge of your favorite Netflix show. But is that really what's best? It might be. Maybe you do need to veg out because you've had a rough day. Maybe you're just lazy. I'm joking. Not really. So, these right here are what we call the 4 factors of production. Now, with these are the things that we use, in essence. So, basically, there's 4 types of things. You got your land. This is your natural resources. This is what a pretentious economist would call the gifts of nature. These are the things that show up naturally. Your labor, these are your skills. What skills do your people have? And the work that they are able to put in. Capital, these are the tools made by people that help them produce something. So this could be anything from a simple screwdriver to a factory. If you are UGG on the Siberian Ice Age plains and you're chasing a woolly mammoth, your capital would be your sharp pointed stick. And then your entrepreneur is the person with an idea who could take these other factors and create something of value. Hopefully it has value. This takes a little bit of risk. You can make something that is totally worthless, or you can make something that is very valuable. It really just depends. So, but again, these are the 4 things. So when you're going to get a job or something and you're applying, in essence, what are you doing? You're selling yourself. You're selling your skills. You're selling your talents. You're selling your labor. You're selling your resource. You're a company. You have factories. You have Amazon mobiles. You got so much physical man-made stuff that helps you run your business. That is your capital. And again, entrepreneurship. People, a guy named Stan Lee takes a bunch of ink and paper and some weird ideas in his head and creates comic books with, a guy with the strength and power of a spider and a dude who can have claws come out of his hand and that are metal or adamantium. Or you can make, a movie involving space wizards and laser swords, Star Wars. So again, these are people who have the idea, the people who had those ideas. And then again, your land, your natural resource. Whether you be a fisherman in the ocean, you're harvesting fish, your fish is your land. Because those naturally occur in nature. You're walking around in nature and you're picking up apples. Apple is your land. So again, these are the most basic things that kind of go into actually creating the goods and services and things. We go full fry meme where we tell people shut up and take our money because we want it. All right, so when it comes to economies, because you have the idea of individual choices and the factors of production, and you have a lot of these different kind of things that are moving around, what happens is you end up with the question, who is going to make the decisions on what we spend our resources on and that kind of stuff? So in general, remember, there are 2 main kinds of ways of doing the economy. And I guess you could say this is kind of a spectrum, with one side being market, the other side being command, and every other country in the world is falling somewhere along the spectrum. But either which way, whatever the economy is, it is going to be leaning in one of these 2 directions. It'll either be leaning towards a market system where individual producers and consumers decide what, how, and for whom to produce. There's very little government involvement. The idea is, in essence, we as consumers determine what is produced by what we're willing to pay for. There you go. The other side is the command side. Industry is usually publicly owned and in the central authority. Now, the main thing is with a command is you have a central authority. You have some form of central authority making the decisions on what is made, what is going to be produced, what is going to be consumed. And so this is really kind of the breakdown. On the command side, central authority. Market side, no authority. And with command side, you have, this is put out by people like Karl Marx, picked up by people like Benito Mussolini, Adolf Hitler, Joseph Stalin. Socialism falls into this, communism falls into this. And then on the market side, you have people like Adam Smith, Thomas Sowell, Milton Friedman, Friedrich Hayek. This is where you will hear the term capitalism kicked around, but capitalism is not really a term created by the people who are for free markets. Capitalism was actually a phrase coined by Karl Marx in a means to demean market systems. So that's kind of splitting hairs a little bit, but it is a little bit of a background knowledge. So you have the idea of market system, command system. Once you have those things in place, then you have the question of incentive and property rights. Now, incentives is the idea of rewards and punishments that motivate a particular choice. Don't think of it in terms of I'm beating my child because they're being naughty. You got to think of it in terms of psychological. Because in psychology, rewards is really anything that will cause a behavior to happen again. A punishment is anything that will make sure a behavior does not happen again. So take this and apply this to economics. Company goes off and they make a movie, and they make a movie that is very popular. They are rewarded with more money. Same company, they make another movie. It is not so good. They are punished by not making money. So the company, they will make more movies that make them more money. That's really kind of the rough idea. And then you have the idea of property rights. What this pretty much just establishes ownership and grants individuals the right to trade goods and services with each other. So what is your property? What can you do with your property? And can you sell that property? Can you trade that property? Can you use that property to produce things? That's really the idea. So, like, for example, your labor. Your labor is your property. And then you can trade that labor for someone or to something, and they will trade you, hopefully, some money for your labor. That's really the idea in a nutshell. But again, if you have anything that you want, or if someone has something you want, you can get it. If someone has something that they want from you, they can get it from you by trading for it. You have a garage sale or something, you're selling your garbage, and people will, spend $20 for your old stuffed teddy bear. Again, just a little idea. So when you have a market economy, your incentive is profit motive. Because again, if I'm a company, I live in a market economy, I want to make money. I want to make more money. So I will make things that people will buy. So my property rights in that situation is the individuals owns their own factors. So if I'm going to hire people, I have to pay them, because if I don't pay them, well, that's what you call slavery. And then my customers, again, if they want my stuff, they will buy it. Because again, their own factors of production, their capital being their money, they will give that to me if I have something they want. A command economy, when it comes to incentive, well, you have a central authority. They don't have to compete with anybody. And a central authority has little incentive to innovate or try new things to meet the needs of their customers, because, it's like the look at me, I am the captain now meme. That's really what it is. Central authority, they make the rules. And then when it comes to property rights, well, central authority can claim to own the factors of production, which means your labor. The central authority owns you. This is actually one of those things about, like, again, with Nazi Germany that a lot of people don't understand. Because, again, a lot of people said the Nazis were right-wing capitalists. No. Technically, the Nazis owned everything because Nazi citizens were property of the Nazi Party. So, again, this is kind of the idea of property rights. What is yours? What is someone else's? What can you do with your stuff? And again, this is not just your physical stuff. This is your labor. This is your entrepreneurship. If you have an idea for something, is that your property? Something to think about. All right, so a little bit of an aside. You actually have two branches of economics in general. And the first one is microeconomics, and this is the study of how individuals, households, and firms make decisions. So this is looking at everything from a small level, individual, small business, or a business level, like that particular business. Macroeconomics looks at everything in the economy as a whole. So what is happening in the video game markets, the US economy, world economy, European economy. So this is more big scale. So again, macroeconomics, big scale, microeconomics, small scale. And yeah, that's pretty much that in a nutshell. Pretty straightforward, but figured I'd throw this in here anyway. And then lastly, you have the idea of positive versus normative economics. So with positive economics, this is what describes how the economy works. Think about it like kind of like gravity. If I do X, Y will happen. This talks about what is going to happen. Normative economics is when people start making prescriptions on the way the economy should work. What should be. So should little Timmy be at school or should he be working in the factory? Should we go transition to electric cars instead of using hydrocarbon cars, gasoline? So what should the economy do? Now, ideally, what you want to do is you want to make sure that positive and normative work together. So how does the economy work? Should the economy be working with that? So when you end up in a situation where they're out of lockstep, well, this is when you see Great Depressions and Venezuela and all the bad things that happen in the world because people make bad economic choices. And this is actually a real thing. So again, we always talk about how the economy should work. People should make more money. Okay, what would happen if people made more money? Because again, that may sound like a good thing, but if you just arbitrarily just start throwing money out at people, that can actually have bad consequences for the economy as a whole. Just because people are making more money does not necessarily mean things are actually getting better. There's actually a bit more going on to it than that. So this is actually why, like when people start making prescriptions on what should happen, you got to think about it in terms of the larger whole. Because you could do something for the best of reasons, but it's like gravity. Gravity can do a lot of things. It keeps us on the earth. I push Timmy down the stairs. What's going to happen to him? That is the what is. But if I understand the economy, I understand things like gravity, then I can build airplanes. I can understand what happens when I put helium in a balloon. Gravity is still there. There's just other things happening there that are also having an impact on the economy as well. And yeah, this is actually pretty much it. So this is, again, meant to be a bit of a overview, really talking about just the basics of economics, and a bit on the side note, get me back into the swing of making videos after my 6-month hiatus. But yeah, that's pretty much it. If there's anything in particular you want me to touch on, leave a comment in the comment section, because that's what it's there for. And aside from that, I really got nothing left to say about this. I'm out.